Emma Parker, just 9 years old, came home shaking from head to toe that Thursday night. For 3 months she had been attending dance classes, always on Thursdays, but she had never returned like this. As she hugged her mother, her hands were cold and her whole body seemed to vibrate with fear. Jennifer Parker, with her heart racing, knelt in front of her daughter and held her face gently. The girl's eyes were red, as if she had cried for a long time. When Jennifer asked what had happened, Emma just muttered, in a faint, trembling voice, that it was all right. But then, almost without realizing it, the girl blurted out a phrase that made Jennifer's blood run cold in her veins. "Mom, it's just a special warm-up," Emma said, hugging the bag to her chest as if it were a shield. Jennifer felt a lump form in her throat. That special word sounded too strange. And what really terrified her was realizing that during all those months, she had never been able to enter the dance room while the class was taking place. The door has always been locked. Professor Marcus Thompson always smiled politely and said that he needed total concentration with the students. But when Jennifer finally got to see what was going on inside that room, what she discovered was absolutely alarming. But to understand how we got here, we need to go back a few weeks. We need to know who Jennifer Parker is, and how she became the mother who saved not only her daughter, but several other children from a situation that no one imagined was happening right under everyone's eyes. Jennifer Parker was 36 years old and worked as a nurse at Providence Portland Medical Center, one of the largest hospitals in the city of Portland, Oregon. She had been a single mother for 4 years since divorcing Emma's father. The marriage had ended relatively quietly, but left Jennifer with the responsibility of raising her daughter alone. There was not enough alimony. There was no constant help. It was her and Emma against the world. And Jennifer made a point of being the best mother she could be. She worked long shifts, often came home exhausted, but always made time for her daughter. They always talked during dinner. There were always hugs before going to sleep. Jennifer was the kind of mother who knew every detail of her daughter's life. She knew the names of all her friends at school. She knew what her favorite subject was. She even knew what was the snack that Emma liked to take the most in her lunchbox. Emma Parker was everything to Jennifer. The 9-year-old girl was cheerful, outgoing and full of energy. He loved to talk, he loved to draw, but above all, he loved to dance. Since she was little, Emma watched videos of ballet performances and imitated the movements in the living room at home. Jennifer remembered when her daughter was just 5 years old and dancing barefoot in front of the television, trying to do clumsy pirouettes that always ended in laughter. So when Emma turned 8, Jennifer decided to enroll her in a real dance school. "I wanted to see that smile on my daughter's face. I wanted her to have the chance to do what she loved." He searched for weeks until he found the perfect place. The Graceful Steps Dance Center was in the Hawthorne neighborhood, a quiet, leafy area of Portland. The studio was the most respected in the region. It had a beautiful facade, with large glass windows that let natural light in. Inside, it was everything Jennifer imagined a ballet school should be. Glossy hardwood flooring, mirrors covering all the walls, spotless grab bars. Most importantly, the head teacher, Marcus Thompson, had an impeccable reputation. 42 years old, graduated from one of the best dance schools in New York, with 15 years of experience teaching children and teenagers. All the families in the neighborhood spoke wonders about him. The mothers always commented on how dedicated he was, how he really cared about the progress of each student. Jennifer felt safe leaving Emma there. I felt that I had chosen the best possible place. In this video, you'll discover how one mother trusted her maternal instinct even when everyone said she was overreacting. You'll see how small signs, which most would ignore, became the key to saving your daughter. Courage and determination can change everything in a matter of hours. Every detail here is based on true events. You will understand how Jennifer Parker went from a confident mother to a desperate woman in search of the truth. And you'll find out how that search revealed something that shook the entire Portland community. If you've made it this far, it's because real history interests you. Help this content reach more people. Leave the like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell. 6 months ago, when Emma started classes at Graceful Steps, everything seemed perfect. Jennifer clearly remembered the first time she took her daughter there. It was a sunny Thursday in April. Emma was radiant, wearing a light pink leotard that Jennifer had bought especially for the occasion. The new shoes still smelled of new material, and Emma kept looking at her own feet in delight. In the car, on the way to the studio, the girl couldn't stop talking. "Mum, do you think I'll be able to do those pirouettes we saw in the video? Do you think the teacher will like me?" Jennifer smiled, looking in the rearview mirror. "Daughter, he will love you. You are the most devoted girl I know." When they arrived at the studio, Jennifer walked in with Emma. The place was full of other girls of the same age, all dressed in dancing clothes, all excited. Marcus Thompson was in the center of the room, talking to some mothers. He was a tall, thin man, with well-cut grey hair and impeccable posture. He wore black gym clothes and sneakers appropriate for dancing. When he saw Jennifer and Emma, he approached with a wide, friendly smile. "You must be Emma," he said, bending down until you were at the girl's eye level. "Your mother told me a lot about you on the phone. I look forward to seeing you dance." Emma was a little shy, but soon smiled back. Marcus looked at Jennifer and held out his hand. "Nice to meet you. I'm Marcus Thompson. You can rest assured I will take very good care of your daughter. She is in good hands." The first few weeks were exactly as Jennifer had hoped. Emma came home from class excited, telling everything she had learned. "Mom, today I learned how to make a perfect plié. The teacher said that my posture is getting very good." Jennifer's chest was swollen with pride. She stayed in the waiting room throughout the class, along with other mothers, and could see through the glass windows everything that happened inside the room. I saw Emma smiling. I saw the teacher correcting the girl's posture gently. I saw them all dancing in sync. Everything seemed absolutely normal. Everything seemed safe. Jennifer even befriended a few other moms, especially Sarah Bennett, who had a daughter named Katie, the same age as Emma. The two always waited together, talking about their daughters, about work, about life. Sarah always said how wonderful Marcus was. "My Katie loves it. He really knows how to make girls feel special." But then, 3 weeks ago, something changed. It was subtle at first, so subtle that Jennifer almost ignored it. It was a normal Thursday. Jennifer picked Emma up at the studio as she always did. The girl left the dance room with her purse slung over her shoulder, her hair still tied in a bun that was already half undone. Jennifer noticed that Emma looked tired, more tired than usual. The girl was sweaty, sweatier than she should be after a ballet class. Jennifer frowned. "Daughter, how are you? Are you okay?" Emma gave a quick smile, but that didn't reach her eyes. "Yes, I am, Mom. Just tired." It was a hard class today. Jennifer accepted the answer, but something about her bothered her. It was not what Emma had said, but how she had said it. The girl's voice sounded a little different, a little forced, as if she was trying to convince herself that everything was okay. On the way back home, Jennifer tried to talk, as she always did. He asked what Emma had learned that day, if she had enjoyed the class. Emma replied shortly, without the usual animated details. "It was good, Mom." "Is that it?" Jennifer looked in the rearview mirror and saw her daughter looking out the window, lost in thought. That was strange. Emma always loved to count every second of her lessons, but Jennifer brushed off the concern. Maybe the girl was just really tired. Maybe he had a hard day at school before dance class. It was no big deal. But then Jennifer realized something else, something that bothered her even more. When she arrived to pick up Emma that day, the door to the dance room was closed. Not locked, but closed. Before, Marcus always left the door open. Jennifer could see everything through the glass window and the half-open door. But now, for the first time, the door was completely closed. Jennifer could see through the glass, but not as clearly as before. and that planted a small seed of discomfort in her chest. Why did he close the door, she wondered, but soon pushed the thought away. Maybe it was to avoid noise from the hallway. Maybe it was to help girls concentrate better. It made sense. It was no big deal. But in the weeks since, Jennifer has started to notice more. Emma was no longer so excited about dance classes. Before, she woke up on Thursdays practically jumping for joy. Now, she seemed hesitant. The following Thursday, Jennifer noticed that Emma took longer than usual to get ready. The girl was sitting on the edge of the bed, holding her ballet shoes in her hands, looking at them with an expression Jennifer couldn't decipher. "Daughter, we're going to be late," Jennifer said, entering the room. Emma looked up, and for a brief second, Jennifer saw something in her daughter's eyes, something that seemed like fear. But then the girl blinked, and the expression disappeared. "I'm going, Mum," said Emma, getting up and putting her sneakers in her bag. When they arrived at the studio, Jennifer watched Emma get out of the car. The girl stood in front of the glass door of the studio for a few seconds, just looking inside. Jennifer saw her daughter take a deep breath, as if she was preparing for something difficult. "Emma, are you sure everything is okay?" Jennifer asked, leaning out of the car window. Emma turned and gave a quick smile. "Yes, I do, Mom. I'm just a little nervous. We have a presentation next month." That made sense. Jennifer knew Emma was nervous before performances, relaxed a bit. "Okay, daughter, you will do very well. I love you." Emma waved and entered the studio. Jennifer parked the car and entered the waiting room as she always did. Sarah Bennett was already there, flipping through a magazine. The two exchanged smiles, and Jennifer sat next to her. A few minutes later, the class began. Jennifer looked through the glass window and saw Marcus greeting the girls. He was smiling, as always. The girls started warming up. Everything seemed absolutely normal. But then, about 10 minutes into class, Marcus walked over to the door and closed it completely. Jennifer frowned. He had done that last week as well, and the week before. Why did he keep closing the door? Jennifer tried to see through the glass, but the room was now a little harder to see. She could see figures, she could see movement, but she couldn't see details. He felt a tightness in his chest. "Sarah, do you think it's normal for him to close the door?" Jennifer asked, trying to sound casual. Sarah looked up at the magazine and shrugged. "I think so. He probably wants the girls to focus. Or maybe the noise from the hallway is getting in the way." Jennifer nodded, but the tightness in her chest didn't go away. When class ended, Jennifer was at the door waiting. Emma was one of the last to leave. The girl was holding the bag tightly, her arms tense. Jennifer noticed that her hands were tightened on the handles of her purse, her knuckles white. "Emma, how are you?" asked Jennifer, touching her daughter's shoulder. Emma jumped slightly as if she'd been startled. "Ah, Mom, yes, it's okay." Jennifer looked her daughter in the eye. "Are you sure?" Emma looked away and nodded quickly. "Yes, I do. Professor Marcus said that I am doing very well. He said I'm very special." The word special echoed in Jennifer's mind in a strange way. It wasn't a bad word, but the way Emma said it seemed forced, it seemed rehearsed. Jennifer felt her stomach turn slightly, but she didn't know exactly why. "That's good, daughter. I'm proud of you," Jennifer said, trying to shake off the bad feeling. On the way to the parking lot, Jennifer saw Sarah leaving with Katie. They were both laughing, Katie excitedly telling something about the class. Sarah waved to Jennifer. "Hey, Jennifer. Katie was telling me that Marcus is doing some special exercises with the more advanced girls. Katie loves it." Jennifer felt a chill run down her spine. Special exercises? There was that word again. Special. Sarah nodded, smiling. "Yes, he chooses some girls who are doing well and takes some extra classes with them. Katie feels super special to have been chosen." Jennifer forced a smile. How cool. Emma also mentioned this, but as she drove home, Jennifer couldn't stop thinking. Special exercises. Closed room. Emma less excited. The girl's hands squeezing the bag, that look of hesitation before entering the studio. Something was not right. Jennifer felt it deep in her chest, but she couldn't put her finger on what exactly was wrong. Perhaps he was exaggerating. Maybe it was just his overprotective nature. After all, Marcus Thompson was a respected teacher. He had years of experience. All the other mothers trusted him. Sarah trusted him. Why would Jennifer doubt it? But the maternal instinct is a powerful thing. It is a voice that is not easily silenced. And that night, as Jennifer put Emma to sleep, she decided to pay more attention. He decided to take a closer look, because if something was going on, if something was wrong, she would need to know. She would need to protect her daughter. If this revelation is arousing in you a deep curiosity about what really happened, comment right now, I want more stories, and please leave your like on this video. The following Thursday, Jennifer made a decision. She would arrive at the studio early. I wanted to see what happened before the class started. I wanted to observe Marcus more closely. He asked to leave the hospital a little earlier, claiming a family commitment. At 5 in the afternoon, Jennifer and Emma were on their way to Graceful Steps. Emma was quiet in the back seat, looking out the window. Jennifer tried to strike up a conversation. "Daughter, are you excited for class today?" Emma shrugged. "More or less." Jennifer frowned. "More or less? You've always loved dancing." Emma sighed. "I still like it, Mum. It's just that sometimes it's tiring." Tiring. That word bothered Jennifer. Emma had never complained of tiredness before. Dance has always been something that energized her, not exhausted her. But Jennifer didn't press on. He didn't want to make Emma uncomfortable. When they arrived at the studio, it was 5:15 in the afternoon. The class would start at 5:30. Jennifer entered with Emma and instead of going straight to the waiting room, stayed in the hallway near the dance room. The door was open. Marcus had not yet arrived. Emma entered the room with other girls who were already there, all talking and laughing. Jennifer watched through the glass window. Emma put the bag down and started to stretch her arms, but Jennifer noticed that the girl looked tense. Their movements were not as fluid as they used to be. Then Marcus arrived. He entered through the side door, greeting the girls with a smile. "Hello, girls. Ready for another amazing class?" The girls responded in chorus, some more excited than others. Marcus walked to the center of the room and began to arrange the girls in rows. Jennifer kept watching, trying to identify anything out of the ordinary. But everything seemed normal. Marcus was polite, smiled, corrected postures with delicacy. But then, 10 minutes into class, Marcus walked to the door. Jennifer felt her heart race. He looked out, saw Jennifer watching, and gave a quick smile. Then he closed the door. It didn't lock it, but it closed it completely. Jennifer felt her stomach turn. Why does he always close the door when I'm looking? Jennifer tried to see through the glass, but it was difficult. I could see figures, I could see movement, but I couldn't see faces or details. He decided to do something he had never done before. He walked to the door and gently tried to turn the handle. Her heart was pounding so hard that she was sure everyone in the hallway could hear. The handle turned, but the door did not open. It was locked inside. Jennifer felt a chill run through her entire body. Why is the door locked? He tried to look through the glass window again, tried to see what was going on inside. She saw Marcus in the center of the room, talking to the girls. He saw Emma in one of the rows, with her back to the door. Everything seemed normal, but the door was locked. Jennifer knocked lightly on the door. He hit again, a little harder. Marcus looked at the door, frowned, and walked there. He opened the door with a smile on his face. "Arrived early today," he said, in his usual friendly voice. "Something wrong?" Jennifer felt her throat dry. "No, She wanted to see if Emma was okay." Marcus nodded, still smiling. "She looks great. We were in the middle of a special stretching exercise. I need the door to be closed to avoid distractions, you know." Jennifer forced a smile. "Of course, I understand. Sorry to interrupt." Marcus nodded. "No problem. Another 15 minutes and the class ends." He closed the door again. Jennifer heard the click of the lock. Jennifer returned to the waiting room, but she couldn't sit still. His heart beat out of balance. His hands were sweating. Special stretching exercise, door locked, distractions. All of Marcus's explanations made logical sense, but something inside Jennifer screamed that it was wrong. Something was very wrong. When the class ended, Emma was one of the last to leave. The girl didn't look Jennifer in the eye. He just grabbed his bag and walked quickly towards the exit. Jennifer followed her. "Emma, wait." Emma stopped, but did not turn around. "Daughter, look at me." Emma turned slowly. His eyes were red, as if he had been crying. Jennifer felt her chest tighten. "Daughter, what happened? Why are you crying?" Emma shook her head quickly. "I'm not crying, Mom. It's just allergies. There is a lot of dust in the room." Jennifer knew that was a lie. The room was clean, spotless. There was no dust. "Emma, tell me the truth. Did something happen?" Emma looked away. "No, Mom, it's okay. I'm just tired." Jennifer felt the frustration rising. She wanted to shake her daughter. She wanted to scream that she needed to know the truth, but she couldn't do that. It couldn't scare Emma anymore. In the parking lot, Jennifer saw Sarah hanging out with Katie. Sarah nodded, but Jennifer just waved back, not stopping to talk. "I didn't want to talk to anyone." He just wanted to take Emma home and find out what was going on. But what happened in the next few hours would destroy all the certainties she had. That night, Emma refused dinner. Jennifer had prepared her daughter's favorite dish, pasta with homemade tomato sauce, but Emma just stirred the food on the plate without eating. "I'm not hungry, Mom." Jennifer sat next to her daughter. "Daughter, you need to eat something." Emma shook her head. "I have a headache." "Can I go to bed?" Jennifer touched her daughter's forehead. There was no fever. "Emma, what's going on? You're not eating. You're complaining of a headache. You're crying after school. I need you to tell me what's wrong." Emma looked at her mother with eyes full of tears. "It's nothing, Mom, I promise. It's just a headache." Jennifer felt her heart break. She knew her daughter was lying, but she didn't know how to get her to talk. "Okay, daughter. Go rest. I'll take you some medicine." Jennifer helped Emma to bed. The girl hugged the teddy bear she had since she was a baby, pressing it to her chest with a force Jennifer had never seen before. Emma always slept with the teddy bear, but she never hugged him like that, never so tightly, as if she were holding on to something so she wouldn't drown. Jennifer sat on the edge of the bed and ran her hand through her daughter's hair. "Daughter, you know you can tell me anything, don't you? Always. It doesn't matter what it is. I will always protect you." Emma opened her mouth as if to say something. Jennifer held her breath, waiting. But then the girl closed her mouth again and just nodded. "I know, Mom." Jennifer waited a little longer, but Emma said nothing. Then, just as Jennifer was about to get up, Emma mumbled something so low that Jennifer almost didn't hear it. "It's just that the teacher said that our exercises are a special secret. He said that if I tell him, I'm not special anymore." Jennifer's heart froze. He felt the blood drain from his face. Special secret. "I'm not special anymore." Those words echoed in her mind like a deafening alarm. Jennifer forced her voice to come out calmly, even though her insides were in total panic. "What kind of exercises, daughter?" Emma squeezed the teddy bear even tighter. "I can't tell you, Mom. It's a secret." Jennifer felt her hands tremble. "Daughter, no adult should ask you to keep secrets from Mom. Never. You understand? If someone asks you to keep it a secret, you need to tell me." Emma began to cry. Tears streamed down her face. "But he said it's a surprise, Mom. He said that all special girls do this. He said it's normal." Jennifer felt the anger and fear mingle inside her like a storm. She hugged her daughter tightly. "It's okay, my love. You didn't do anything wrong. None of this is your fault. Mommy will take care of everything, okay?" Emma nodded, sobbing against her mother's shoulder. Jennifer stayed there until Emma fell asleep, but when she left the room, she was shaking from head to toe. She closed the door to her daughter's room carefully and walked to the living room. He sat on the couch, picked up his cell phone with trembling hands, and began to research. Entered in the search bar, signs of child abuse. The cell phone screen lit up with dozens of articles. Jennifer began to read, and with each line, she felt her stomach turn even more. Change in behavior. Emma was less excited, more quiet. Resistance to activities he once loved. Emma hesitated before entering the studio. Secrets he can't tell his parents. Emma mentioned special secret. Words like special used to create bonding. Marcus always said that Emma was special. Adults asking children to keep secrets. Marcus asked Emma not to tell. Jennifer felt nausea rising. Everything fell into place. It all made sense in a horrible and terrifying way. He continued researching. Entered suspicious behavior of teachers. More articles appeared. Private lessons in closed rooms. Door locked. Isolation of the child. Marcus always closed the door. Always locked it. Jennifer read about how predators hide behind impeccable reputations. How they use positions of trust to gain access to victims. Marcus Thompson was respected, admired, trustworthy. No one would suspect him. It was 3 in the morning when Jennifer finally put down her phone. She hadn't slept for a second. Her eyes were red and swollen from crying, but now sadness had turned to determination, a cold and unwavering determination. Jennifer knew what she needed to do. The next Thursday, she would find out what really happened in that locked room. It didn't matter what others thought. It didn't matter if they thought she was crazy. Her mother's instinct was screaming that Emma was in danger, and this time she wasn't going to ignore it. Jennifer spent the next few days planning. She thought about confronting Marcus directly, but she knew he would just deny it. She thought about taking Emma out of class. But what if there were other girls going through the same thing? What if she was the only chance to stop it? He needed proof. He needed something concrete that could not be denied. On Tuesday, Jennifer went to an electronics store. He bought a small voice recorder the size of a pen drive. He tested it at home. The audio quality was good. It captured voices clearly. On Wednesday, he spoke with Emma. He tried, with delicacy, to find out more details about the special exercises. But Emma closed herself off completely. I didn't want to talk about it. She tensed up whenever Jennifer mentioned Professor Marcus or the classes. Jennifer didn't press. She didn't want to traumatize her daughter even more. Thursday has arrived. Jennifer woke up at 6 in the morning, even though she had hardly slept at all. She prepared breakfast for Emma, helped her daughter get ready for school. Emma seemed quieter than ever. Jennifer noticed that the girl had barely touched breakfast. "Daughter, you need to eat." Emma just nibbled on toast and said she wasn't hungry. During the day in the hospital, Jennifer was barely able to concentrate at work. He checked his watch every 5 minutes. At 3 in the afternoon, he asked to leave early again. He needed to pick up Emma from school and take her to dance class. But today would be different. Today, Jennifer would have the answers she needed. On the way to pick up Emma from school, Jennifer stopped at home quickly. She took the voice recorder and put it inside a small bag that Emma always took to dance classes. He hid it deep inside, between the towel and the water bottle. He turned on the tape recorder. The red light flashed once and then went out, indicating that it was recording. Jennifer closed her bag and took a deep breath. When she picked Emma up from school, the girl was as quiet as ever. "Today she has a dance class," Jennifer said, watching her daughter's reaction. Emma just nodded, looking out the car window. He showed no excitement, no joy, just resigned acceptance. They arrived at Graceful Steps at 5:20. Jennifer helped Emma out of the car and handed the bag to her. The girl took the bag without saying anything. Jennifer knelt in front of her daughter and held her face gently. "Emma, Mommy loves you so much. You know that, don't you?" Emma nodded. "I know, Mom." Jennifer kissed her daughter's forehead. "Remember, you can tell me anything, always. It doesn't matter what it is." Emma looked into her mother's eyes for a long moment. Then he nodded again and entered the studio. Jennifer went to the waiting room but couldn't stay seated. He walked from one side to the other, his hands sweating, his heart beating out of rhythm. Sarah Bennett was there, but Jennifer could barely greet her. He stood by the glass window, trying to see what was happening inside the room. As usual, 10 minutes into class, Marcus closed the door. And as always, Jennifer heard the click of the lock. The next 45 minutes were the longest of Jennifer's life. She looked at the clock every minute. I felt my stomach turned, my hands trembling. He couldn't stop thinking about the tape recorder inside Emma's bag. Was it working? Would it capture anything? Or was Jennifer really crazy, and it was all just the paranoia of an overprotective mother? Finally, at 6:15, the door opened. The girls started to leave. Jennifer stood at the door waiting. Emma left last. She was pale, hugging her bag to her chest. Jennifer felt her heart break. "Hi, dear," Jennifer said, trying to sound calm. Emma just nodded. "Shall we go home?" In the car, Emma was absolutely silent. Jennifer drove as fast as she could without going over the speed limit. When they got home, he told Emma to take a shower and rest. The girl obeyed without saying anything. As soon as Emma entered the bathroom, Jennifer took her daughter's purse. With trembling hands, he unzipped and looked for the tape recorder. It was there, still on, still recording. Jennifer turned off the device and went to the living room. He sat on the couch, grabbed his headphones, plugged in the recorder and pressed play. The first 10 minutes were just warm-up sounds. Voices of girls talking, Marcus's voice giving normal instructions, background music, noise of footsteps in the wood. Everything is absolutely normal. Jennifer began to think that maybe she was really exaggerating. Maybe it really was all innocent. But then, 15 minutes into the recording, she heard Marcus's voice change pitch. "Well done, girls. Now let's do our special exercise. Emma, Katie, Lily, the three of you stay. The others can rest for a few minutes." Jennifer heard the noise of movement, girls moving away. Then Marcus's voice again. "Emma, lie on the carpet." "Right. Very well." Jennifer felt her stomach turn. He heard Emma's voice, low and hesitant. "Professor, I'm not feeling very well today." Marcus's voice, soft but firm. "All right, Emma. You just need to relax. I'm going to need to touch his back to adjust the posture." "It's normal. You trust the teacher, don't you?" Jennifer heard Emma's breathing quicken. She heard her daughter's trembling voice. "I trust." Jennifer felt nausea rising up her throat. He kept listening. Marcus instructing Emma to make specific moves, touching parts of her body that had nothing to do with ballet, saying words like special, secret, our connection. Jennifer overheard Emma trying to say she wanted to stop, and Marcus saying that she needed to trust him, that he knew what was best. Jennifer ripped off her headphones, ran to the bathroom, and threw up. He was shaking violently. Tears streamed down her face. His worst nightmare had been confirmed. Marcus Thompson was manipulating his daughter. I was abusing her trust, using psychological conditioning techniques, doing things that no teacher should do. But now Jennifer had proof. There was the recording. He had concrete evidence, and I wasn't going to wait a second longer. Nothing in this story happened by chance. What you are discovering here may be the missing piece to understand everything. Stay until the end, as the most surprising moment is yet to come. Jennifer couldn't sleep that night. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the recording over and over again in her headphones. Every time she heard Marcus's voice saying those words, every time she heard Emma's rapid breathing, she felt a mixture of anger and disgust that made her want to scream. But I couldn't scream. Emma was sleeping in the next room, and the last thing Jennifer wanted was to scare her even more. At 3 in the morning, Jennifer got up. He went to the kitchen, made a strong coffee, and sat at the table with his laptop. He needed a plan. I needed to act, but I needed to act in the right way. The first thing he did was save the recording in 3 different places. She emailed it to herself, saved it to a USB stick, and uploaded it to a cloud storage account. I couldn't risk losing that evidence. Then he started researching. He typed his full name, Marcus Anthony Thompson. The search brought up exactly what Jennifer had hoped to find. Pages and pages of compliments. A professional website with photos of him in dance studios, certificates hanging on the wall, trophies glittering on shelves. There were testimonies from satisfied parents. My daughter has improved so much with Professor Marcus. He is dedicated and caring. I recommend it with my eyes closed. Jennifer felt nauseous reading that. How many of these children were also going through the same thing as Emma? How many mothers blindly trusted that man? Jennifer continued researching, clicked on the Images tab. Dozens of photos of Marcus in ballet performances, always surrounded by smiling girls with colorful tutus. He was always in the center, smiling at the camera, one hand on a student's shoulder, another holding a trophy. The perfect image of a dedicated mentor. But Jennifer now saw those photos with different eyes. I could see the way he positioned his hands. I saw how some girls looked uncomfortable, even smiling. He saw signs that he would have completely ignored before. Then Jennifer found something that made her heart race. On his LinkedIn, there was a line on his resume that read, 2010-2018, lead instructor at Seattle Dance Academy. Jennifer frowned. Marcus had worked in Seattle before coming to Portland. But why did it change? He clicked on the name of the Seattle school and went straight to the website. He looked in the teachers section. Marcus wasn't there. He searched in old news related to the school. Nothing. Tried to Google it. Marcus Thompson Seattle Dance Academy. The first results were old, from when he was still working there. Articles about performances, competitions that the school had won. But then, on the third page of results, Jennifer found something. A short article from a local Seattle newspaper dated September 2018. The title read, Dance School Faces Unconfirmed Accusations. Jennifer clicked on the link with trembling hands. The article was short, vague, but it said enough. Parents of Seattle Dance Academy students have raised concerns about inappropriate practices by an unnamed instructor. The school denied all allegations and stated that it followed strict child safety protocols. No formal charges were filed. The instructor in question left the institution of his own free will to seek other professional opportunities. Jennifer felt her blood run cold. It was Marcus. It had to be Marcus. He was not officially fired, he was not prosecuted, but he left Seattle shortly after that article. He came to Portland. It started again at Graceful Steps, where no one knew its past, where its reputation was clean. Jennifer saved the article. He printed a copy. Now there was not only the recording, but a standard. Marcus Thompson had been a suspect before. It had already made other families raise concerns, and even so, he managed to continue. She was able to move to another city, find another job, have access to more children. Jennifer felt anger growing inside her like a giant wave. How many girls, how many families, how many mothers like her ignored the signs because they trusted too much, because they didn't want to appear paranoid? It was 5 in the morning when Jennifer finally made the final decision. He went to the police. Today. I wasn't going to wait. There was no chance for Marcus to do that with any other children. He picked up the phone and looked up the address of the Portland Police District responsible for the Hawthorne neighborhood. Northeast Precinct at 47th Avenue. He wrote down the address, the telephone number, the hours of service. It opened at 8 in the morning. Jennifer looked at her watch. 3 hours until I can act. But then he had an idea. What if Marcus ran away first? What if someone warned him that Jennifer was investigating? I couldn't take that risk. He picked up the phone again and called the police emergency number. A female voice answered. Portland Emergencies, what is your urgency? Jennifer took a deep breath. My name is Jennifer Parker. I need to make a report of child abuse. I have proof. I have audio recording. The voice on the other end immediately changed its tone. Madam, are you in a safe place? Is the child safe now? Jennifer looked down the hallway where Emma's room was quiet. Yes, my daughter is sleeping here at home. She's safe. But the man who did this to her is a dance teacher and has access to other children every day. The attendant asked a few questions: Jennifer's full name, address, child's name, age. Then he asked about the accused. Jennifer gave all the information she had. Marcus Anthony Thompson, 42, ballet instructor at Graceful Steps Dance Studio in the Hawthorne neighborhood. The attendant said she was going to transfer the call to the Child Crime Division and that someone would contact Jennifer immediately. Jennifer waited, her phone glued to her ear, her heart beating so hard it felt like it was going to come out of her chest. Then a new voice answered. Detective Rachel Morrison, Child Crimes Division. I understand that you have a complaint to make. Jennifer told everything. He told about Emma's changes in behavior, about the special word being repeated, about the secrets that Marcus asked Emma to keep. He told about the recording he had made, about what he had heard, about the article he found from Seattle. Detective Morrison listened in silence, only asking a few pointed questions. Do you still have the recording? Yes, I saved it in 3 different places. Can you send it to me now? Yes, I can send it by email. The detective gave her a secure email address and asked Jennifer to send the recording immediately. Jennifer complied, sending the audio file along with the link to the Seattle article. While waiting for the detective to hear, Jennifer paced back and forth in the kitchen, unable to sit still. I heard the detective's breath on the other end of the line. I heard some mouse clicks. Then, after what seemed like hours, but only 10 minutes, the detective spoke again. Mrs. Parker, I just listened to the recording. I need you to come to the police station this morning. We will need a formal statement from you and your daughter. We will also need to launch an immediate investigation into Marcus Thompson. Jennifer felt relief and terror at the same time. Relief because finally someone believed in her, someone was going to act. Terror because now she would have to make Emma relive all that, tell strangers what had happened. Will my daughter need to talk about it? Detective Morrison sighed. Unfortunately, yes, but we have professionals trained to interview abused children. We will do everything to make it as less traumatic as possible. The important thing now is to make sure that she is safe and that this man no longer has access to any children. Jennifer agreed. They scheduled it for 9 in the morning at the police station. When she hung up the phone, Jennifer felt her legs wobbly. He sat down in the kitchen chair and put his face in his hands. He had taken the first step. He had denounced it. Now there was no turning back. Marcus Thompson was going to know that she reported him. I was going to know that she had proof. And Jennifer didn't know how he would react, but it didn't matter. What mattered was to protect Emma. What mattered was to prevent him from doing that to other girls. At 7 in the morning, Jennifer woke Emma. The girl was confused, sleepy. Mum, why so soon? Is there no school today? Jennifer sat on the edge of the bed and held her daughter's hands. Daughter, we need to go somewhere this morning. Let's talk to some people about Professor Marcus. Emma was tense immediately. Her eyes widened and she pulled her hands away from her mother. No, Mom, I don't want to talk about it. Please. Jennifer felt her heart break, but she knew she needed to be firm. I know it's hard, my love, but it is important. These people will help us. They will make you safe, and they will make other girls safe too. Emma began to cry, but I promised not to tell. He said it was a secret. Jennifer hugged her daughter tightly. Daughter, listen. When an adult asks you to keep a secret that makes you uncomfortable, that makes you afraid, that's not a good secret. This is a secret that you must tell, and you've already told me. Now you just need to tell a few more people, people who will help. Emma sobbed against her mother's shoulder. He's going to be mad at me. Jennifer pushed her daughter away gently and looked her in the eyes. He will no longer come near you. I promise. Mom won't let me. And if he gets angry, it's his problem, not yours. You didn't do anything wrong. None of this is your fault. It took another half-hour to convince Emma to get ready. The girl moved slowly, as if every movement was painful. Jennifer prepared a light breakfast, but Emma barely touched the food. At 8:30, they were both in the car on their way to Northeast Precinct. The journey was silent. Jennifer tried a few times to start a conversation, but Emma just stared out the window, hugging her lap. When they arrived at the police station, Jennifer parked and looked at her daughter. "Are you ready?" Emma shook her head. "No, but let's go in anyway, won't we?" Jennifer nodded. "Let's go, and I'll be by your side all the time, I promise." They entered together. The police station was large, with grey walls and the smell of old coffee. Jennifer introduced herself at the reception. "I have an appointment with Detective Rachel Morrison." The receptionist, a middle-aged woman with thick glasses, nodded and picked up the phone. A few minutes later, a side door opened and a woman appeared. She was about 40, with short brown hair tied in a low ponytail, and wore jeans with a blue dress blouse. He wore a badge fastened to his belt. "Jennifer Parker," she asked, extending her hand. "I'm Detective Rachel Morrison, and you must be Emma." Emma hid behind her mother. Detective Morrison smiled gently. "All right, Emma. I know being here is scary, but let's talk in a very comfortable room, and you can bring your mother along, all right?" Emma didn't answer, but she didn't move away any further either. Jennifer held her daughter's hand and followed the detective down a hallway into a small room. It wasn't like the interrogation rooms Jennifer saw in movies. It was cozy, with walls painted a light blue, a few drawings of children hanging, a low table with small chairs, and even some toys in a corner. Detective Morrison asked the two to sit down. There was also another woman in the room, who was introduced as Linda Torres, a psychologist who specializes in interviews with child victims of trauma. Linda had a gentle face, grey hair, and spoke in a low, calm voice. "Emma, I'm going to ask you a few questions. There are no right or wrong answers. I just want you to tell me what happened in your own words. All right?" Emma looked at Jennifer, who nodded encouragingly. "It's okay, daughter. You can count on it." And so, slowly, with many pauses and many tears, Emma said. She told about how Marcus began to ask her to stay after class, alone or with 2 or 3 other girls. He told him about the special exercises he said were for advanced girls. She talked about how he touched them in ways that made them uncomfortable, always saying that it was normal, that it was part of the training, that professional dancers did it all the time. She told about how he asked them not to tell their parents, because it was a surprise, because they were special, because if they did, they would lose the privilege of taking advanced classes. Jennifer listened with tears streaming down her face. "I heard things that Emma had never told before, details that the recording had not captured. I heard about how Marcus said Emma had a perfect body for ballet, how he made comments about her physique, how he made her feel that she was his favorite, but at the same time that there was something wrong with all that attention. Emma talked about other girls as well. Katie, Sarah's daughter. Lily, a girl Jennifer knew by sight. Sophia, a new girl who had arrived 2 months ago. They all went through the same special exercises. The interview lasted almost 2 hours. When she finished, Emma was exhausted, her eyes swollen from crying. Detective Morrison thanked her for her courage and said she would do everything to make sure Marcus didn't hurt any more children. Then he asked to speak to Jennifer privately. Linda Torres stayed with Emma, offering her paper and colored pencils to draw, while Jennifer and the detective talked outside the room. "Mrs. Parker," Detective Morrison began in a serious voice, "the recording that you made and the testimony of your daughter give us sufficient basis to open a formal investigation. We're going to need to interview the other girls Emma mentioned. We're also going to investigate his background in Seattle, but I need you to understand that this process can take time. Cases like this are complex." Jennifer shook her head. "I understand. But will he be arrested? Will he be removed from the studio?" The detective hesitated. "We will ask for a restraining order today, preventing him from having contact with minors. We will also notify the dance studio. As for the arrest, it depends on the evidence we can gather, but with the recording and the testimonies, I hope so." Jennifer felt a mixture of relief and frustration. She wanted Marcus to be arrested immediately. She wanted to see him locked away from any children. But he understood that the judicial system had its processes. The important thing now is that Emma is safe, and that we're going to stop him from doing this to anyone else," the detective said, putting her hand on Jennifer's shoulder. "You did the right thing. I know it wasn't easy, but you may have saved many children today." Jennifer returned home with Emma. The girl was quiet, but she seemed a little lighter, as if a weight had lifted off her shoulders. "Mom," she said in the car, "won't I have to see Professor Marcus anymore?" "Never again," Jennifer replied firmly. "Never again." But the story was far from over. That same afternoon, Detective Morrison went to the Graceful Steps dance studio with another officer. They asked to speak with the director, Diane Miller. When Diane heard the accusations, she turned pale. "This is impossible. Marcus is our best instructor. We never received any complaints." Detective Morrison showed the restraining order. "From now on, Marcus Thompson is prohibited from having any contact with minors. He can no longer work here. We also need access to his records, to the names of all the students who had private lessons with him." Diane was in shock, but cooperated. She handed over all the files, all the lists of students. There were dozens of names. Detective Morrison knew she had her work cut out for her. Interview all those families, find out how many other children had been victims. But she was determined. Cases like this were the ones that motivated her the most, the ones that made her work meaningful. Meanwhile, Marcus Thompson was at home, unaware of anything. She was preparing dinner when she received a call from Diane Miller. "Marcus, we need to talk. It is urgent. The police were here. There are accusations against you." Marcus felt the ground disappear from under his feet. What kind of accusations? Diane hesitated. Inappropriate behavior with female students. A mother made a formal complaint. It has a restraining order. You can no longer have contact with minors. Marcus, you are suspended indefinitely. Marcus hung up the phone. His mind was racing. Who denounced it? How did they find out? He was always so careful. "I always told the girls that it was a secret, that it was special, that no one would understand." How did anyone find out? She thought about the students. He thought about who he could have told. Emma Parker. It had to be Emma. She was the youngest, the most sensitive. She should have told her mother. Marcus felt anger growing. That woman, Jennifer Parker. She always seemed suspicious. I always looked out the windows. I always asked questions. He knew he should have been more careful with Emma. I should have chosen another girl. But now it was too late. Marcus knew what happened in cases like this. Investigation, interviews, evidence. And if they found enough evidence, arrest. He had been through this before in Seattle, but there he managed to get out before things got worse. He left before any formal charges were made. He moved to another city, started over. But now there was a restraining order. Now the police were investigating. It wouldn't be so easy to run away this time. Marcus thought about his options. I could stay and fight, hire a lawyer, deny everything. I could tell that it was just ballet techniques, that everything was innocent, that this mother was paranoid. But what if there was proof? What if Emma had recorded something? What if other girls confirmed the accusations? Or he could run away, pick up the car, drive away, disappear before it was too late. To start again in another city, in another state, with another name. I had already done this once. I could do it again. But while Marcus pondered her options, Detective Morrison and her team were already at work. They had begun interviewing other families. Sarah Bennett was one of the first. When the detective called her and explained the situation, Sarah initially didn't believe it. "Marcus? No, that doesn't make sense. He is wonderful with children." But the detective asked her to talk to Katie, ask her some questions. Sarah agreed, still skeptical. That night, Sarah sat with Katie in the girls' room. "Daughter, I need to ask you something about Professor Marcus, about those special exercises you do." Katie was tense immediately. Sarah felt her stomach turn. "Daughter, what happens in these exercises?" Katie began to cry. "Mom, he said it was a secret. He said I couldn't tell." Sarah felt the world come crashing down around her. She began to ask the same questions Jennifer had asked, and heard almost identical answers. Marcus playing in inappropriate ways. Marcus making comments about the girls' bodies. Marcus saying that it was normal, that it was advanced training, that they were special. Sarah called Detective Morrison immediately, panicking. My daughter, too. She also went through this. How did I not notice? How did I not see it? The detective tried to calm her down. You are not to blame. These predators are masters of manipulation. They know exactly how to gain trust and how to make children keep it a secret. The important thing now is that you know, and we can help Katie. In the next 48 hours, 4 more families confirmed similar situations. 6 girls in total, all between 8 and 11 years old, all having gone through Marcus Thompson's special exercises, all keeping secrets that made them uncomfortable, all manipulated into believing that it was normal. The investigation grew rapidly. Detective Morrison contacted the Seattle police. He gained access to the old archives. It found that in 2018, 3 families had raised similar concerns about Marcus. But at the time, the school pressured families not to make formal complaints, offered reimbursements, made confidentiality agreements. Marcus left school voluntarily before any proceedings were initiated. Now, with evidence from Seattle and Portland, with 6 confirmed victims and an incriminating audio recording, Detective Morrison had enough to ask for a warrant for her arrest. The following Thursday, exactly 1 week after Jennifer made the recording, police went to Marcus Thompson's home to arrest him. But when they arrived, the house was empty. Marcus had fled. Jennifer received the news over the phone. He felt frustration and anger. How could they let him get away? But Detective Morrison assured her that they would find him. They had issued a state, then a national alert. Marcus Thompson was now a wanted fugitive. I couldn't go far. And indeed, 3 days later, Marcus was found. He was in a cheap motel near the California border, trying to cross into another state. He was arrested without resistance. When the police handcuffed him and read out his rights, Marcus said nothing. He just lowered his head, defeated. Jennifer learned of the arrest while she was at work. Detective Morrison personally called to break the news. Mrs. Parker, I wanted you to know that Marcus Thompson was arrested today. He is in custody and will answer multiple charges of child abuse and inappropriate behavior with minors. Jennifer felt the tears come. Thank you. Thank you very much. The detective continued. You saved these children. I know it was difficult. I know there were times when she doubted herself. But the lady trusted her instinct, and he did the right thing. When Jennifer got home that night, she hugged Emma tightly. Daughter, Professor Marcus was arrested. He will no longer hurt you or any other child. Emma looked at her mother with wide eyes. Really? Jennifer nodded. Really? It's over. You are safe now. Emma began to cry, but this time it was tears of relief. He hugged his mother back, squeezing tightly. Thank you, Mom. Thank you for believing in me. If you're here, it's because this story deserves to be heard. I believe that what comes next will surprise you even more. Don't leave this video before you find out how it all ended. In the days following Marcus Thompson's arrest, the story spread through the Portland community. Graceful Steps Dance Studio temporarily closed while the investigation continued. Diane Miller, the director, gave interviews to local newspapers, saying she was shocked and never suspected anything. But many criticized the studio for not having proper safety protocols, for allowing classes to take place in locked rooms without supervision, for not having cameras in rehearsal rooms. The studio's reputation was destroyed. Months later, it would close permanently. The 6 families whose daughters were confirmed as victims came together. Jennifer met Sarah Bennett in person, and the 2 who were once just casual acquaintances have now become friends bonded by a shared traumatic experience. He also met Lily's mothers, Sophia, Madison, and Zoe. They all went through the same journey. They had all noticed signs, they had felt discomfort, But they pushed those feelings away because they trusted Marcus's reputation, because they didn't want to sound paranoid, because they thought they were exaggerating. The mothers began to meet regularly. First just to vent, to share your guilt and your fears, but then they began to think about how they could turn that tragedy into something positive. Sarah had the idea. What if we created a support group, not only for us, but for other mothers, to educate about signs of abuse, about how to trust the maternal instinct, about how to protect our children? Jennifer loved the idea. And so the group Watchful Mothers of Oregon was born. They started small, only the initial 6 mothers. They met once a week in a local church that provided a room for free. But word spread. Other mothers began to appear. Mothers who had also gone through similar situations. Mothers who wanted to learn how to better protect their children. Mothers who simply wanted support and community. Within 3 months, the group had 12 regular mothers. In 6 months, there were 20. Jennifer became one of the leaders, sharing her story over and over again, always emphasizing the same message: trust your gut. If something seems wrong, it's probably wrong. Don't let someone's reputation or fear of appearing paranoid stop you from protecting your child. The group began to do advocacy work. They went to schools, dance studios, gyms, any place where adults worked with children. They proposed new security policies, doors with glass windows required, prohibition of individual classes in completely closed classrooms, security cameras in all rehearsal rooms, stricter background checks for all employees, mandatory training on signs of abuse for all teachers and instructors. Some institutions initially resisted, saying they were extreme measures, but Marcus Thompson's case was fresh in the community's memory. And when Watchful Mothers presented their proposals, citing the case, showing how those measures could have prevented the abuse, most ended up agreeing. 6 months after Marcus's arrest, the state of Oregon passed a new law, the Child Protection in Educational and Recreational Environments Act. It established minimum security requirements for any institution that worked with minors. Transparent windows, mandatory in all rooms, prohibition of internal locks during activities with children, security cameras in common areas, background checks, including history from other states, mandatory annual training on abuse prevention. The law was informally dubbed the Emma Act, in honor of Emma Parker's courage in telling her story. Meanwhile, Emma was in therapy. Jennifer found a wonderful child psychologist, Dr. Rebecca Torres, who specialized in child trauma. The sessions were difficult at first. Emma had frequent nightmares. He was afraid of adult males. He flatly refused to return to any kind of dance class. But Rebecca worked patiently, using art therapy, with games, gradual desensitization techniques. Emma taught that what happened was not her fault, that she did nothing wrong, that Marcus was solely responsible for his actions. It took months, but slowly Emma began to improve. The nightmares subsided. She smiled more again. 4 months after starting therapy, Emma surprised Jennifer. "Mommy, do you think I can try dancing again? But not ballet. Maybe jazz or hip-hop, and only in places with cameras. And with female teachers." Jennifer felt her heart swell with pride. "Of course, my love. Let's find the perfect place for you." They found a new, small studio run by a woman named Claire Rodriguez. Claire was a former professional dancer and mother of 3 daughters. When Jennifer told Emma's story, Claire understood immediately. He offered contemporary jazz lessons in a glass-walled room where parents could attend at any time. Emma started slowly, hesitantly, but Claire was patient and kind, and slowly Emma rediscovered her love for dance. Not the way it was before, not with the complete innocence it had at the age of 8, but in a new, more conscious, stronger way. While Emma was recovering, the court case against Marcus Thompson was moving forward. He was indicted on 12 counts of child abuse, inappropriate sexual behavior with minors, and psychological manipulation. Her lawyer initially tried to argue that it was all misunderstanding, that they were just legitimate ballet techniques. But the recording Jennifer had made was devastating for the defense. When the prosecutor played the audio in court, hearing Marcus's voice saying those manipulative words, hearing Emma's rapid breathing, seeing the girl's expressions of discomfort in video depositions, there was no denying it. Marcus ended up making a deal. He pleaded guilty to 6 counts of inappropriate behavior with minors in exchange for other charges being dropped. He was sentenced to 7 years in prison. After serving his sentence, he would have to register as a sex offender for life. I could never work with children again. I could never teach dance again. I would never again have access to innocent victims. Jennifer was at the sentencing hearing. Sitting among the other mothers, she heard the judge read the sentence. He felt a mixture of satisfaction and sadness. Satisfaction because justice was being done. Sadness because 7 years seemed so little compared to the trauma that these girls would carry for the rest of their lives. But it was better than nothing. It was better than leaving him free to do it with more children. When the judge asked if any of the victims or their families would like to make impact statements, Jennifer stood up. In a firm but emotional voice, she spoke directly to Marcus. "You betrayed the trust of 6 families. You manipulated innocent girls, making them believe that inappropriate behavior was normal. You hid behind a respectable reputation, behind degrees and awards. But now everyone sees you for what you really are, a predator who used his position of authority to hurt children. My daughter will carry the marks of what you did for the rest of your life. But she will also carry the strength of having had the courage to tell. And I'll carry the pride of having trusted my maternal instinct, even when everyone said I was exaggerating." Marcus kept his head down throughout the speech. He didn't look at Jennifer once. When it was his turn to speak, he muttered an apology that sounded empty and rehearsed. The judge was not impressed. Reading the final sentence, he said, "Mr. Thompson, you have violated the sacred trust between teacher and student. He betrayed the trust of parents who placed their children in his care. He used his position of authority to satisfy inappropriate desires. The sentence I impose today is the minimum that justice requires. I hope you use your time in prison to reflect on the damage you have caused." As Marcus was led out of the courtroom in handcuffs, Jennifer felt a chapter close. It was not the complete end of the story. Emma was still in recovery. She would still have years of therapy ahead of her. The other girls, too. And Jennifer knew that she herself would also carry guilt and questions. Why didn't he act sooner? Why did you doubt yourself at first? But Rebecca Torres, who was not only Emma's therapist, but had also offered some sessions for Jennifer, said something that helped her. You acted at the time you could. You saw the signs and investigated. Many mothers don't even do that. You saved your daughter and 5 other children. This is heroic. This story is not for everyone. If you are here, it is because you want to know the truth behind the facts. Are you ready for the final reveal? Today, almost 2 years after that day, Jennifer made the recording. Life is different. Emma is 11 years old now. He still goes to therapy, but less frequently, once a month instead of every week. She dances 3 times a week in Claire's studio and is even planning to attend a performance next month. There are still difficult moments. There are still days when he doesn't want to talk about what happened. But there are also good days, days when he laughs, plays, acts like the child he is. She's stronger now, in a way that Jennifer wishes she never needed to be. But it's strong nonetheless. Jennifer continues to work as a nurse, but now she also devotes several hours a week to the group Watchful Mothers of Oregon. The group has grown to nearly 30 regular moms and has impacted dozens of institutions in the Portland area. They give talks in schools, write blog articles about child protection, offer free workshops on how to identify signs of abuse. Jennifer has become a recognized voice in the community, someone mothers turn to when they have questions or concerns about their children's safety. Sarah Bennett is also an active leader of the group. Katie, his daughter, is fine. She also goes to therapy and has also returned to dancing in the same studio as Emma. The two girls have become best friends, bonded by an experience they should never have shared, but which now connects them in a unique way. The other four girls are also in various stages of recovery. They all go to therapy. Some are better than others, but they all have the support of their families and the Vigilant Mothers community. The Graceful Steps Dance Studio closed for good 6 months after Marcus's arrest. The building was empty for a while, but was eventually rented by a martial arts academy that implemented all the safety policies recommended by the Watchful Mothers. Diane Miller, the former director, has left the field of dance teaching altogether. It is said that she moved to another state, unable to cope with the guilt of not having realized what was going on under her roof. Marcus Thompson is serving his sentence in an Oregon state prison. According to reports, he keeps a low profile, participates in mandatory rehabilitation programs, and counts the days until he can leave. But even when you leave, your life will never be the same. His name is permanently on sex offender records. He will never get a job working with children again. He will never again have the respectable life he had before. And Jennifer feels that's fair. It doesn't completely compensate for what he did. Nothing could. But it is justice within what the system can offer. Jennifer and Emma's story was covered by local, then state newspapers, and eventually came to national attention. Jennifer has been interviewed on radio shows, on podcasts about child safety, even on a regional TV show. She always gives the interviews, always tells the story, because she believes that the more people know, the more children can be protected. But it always protects Emma's identity. In public accounts, he uses only his daughter's first name, never shows photos of her face, never gives details that can identify her. He wants Emma to have the chance to grow up without being eternally known as the girl who was Marcus Thompson's victim. Emma knows about the advocacy that her mother does, and it does. Sometimes when Jennifer returns from a lecture or group meeting, Emma asks how it went. "Did you help other people, Mom?" Jennifer always answers honestly, "I hope so, daughter. I hope so." And Emma smiles, satisfied that her story, as painful as it is serving to protect other children. The Emma Act has been in effect for over a year now. State inspectors visit dance schools, fitness centers, art studios, anywhere that offers classes for children. They check that the doors have windows, that there are cameras, that the background checks have been done correctly. Some institutions complained about the additional bureaucracy, the cost of installing cameras and renovating doors, but most recognize that it is worth it. And when institutions are reluctant, Jennifer and the Watchful Mothers show up at public meetings, tell their stories, and the resistance usually dies down. It wasn't just in Oregon. The story inspired similar groups in other states. Moms in Washington, California, contacted Jennifer for advice on starting their own advocacy groups. Jennifer generously shares everything she has learned. She created a basic manual on how to form vigilant mother groups, how to approach institutions, how to propose policy changes. This manual is freely available online and has been downloaded by hundreds of people across the country. Jennifer looks back now and wonders what it would have been like if she hadn't trusted instinct. What if you had ignored that feeling of discomfort? What if he had accepted the logical explanations and put his worries away? Emma would have continued to suffer, the other girls too. Marcus would have continued his manipulation, possibly for years. How many more children would have been victims? 10, 20, 50? The thought makes her sick. But she trusted instinct, even when everyone said I was exaggerating, even when her own daughter denied it at first. Even when it seemed that she was alone in her mistrust, she investigated, found evidence, acted, and that made all the difference. Jennifer learned that being a mother is not just about loving, it is also protecting. It is to be vigilant even when it is inconvenient. It's asking tough questions, even when everyone says you're paranoid. It's trusting that inner voice that says something is wrong, even when there's no clear evidence yet. Because predators rely on our education, on our fear of being rude, on our tendency to trust authorities, but mothers who trust their instincts break that pattern. Before we continue, help bring real stories to those who really care. If you want to be part of this mission, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell. The message Jennifer spreads now, in every talk, in every interview, in every group meeting of vigilant mothers, is simple but powerful. Trust your gut. If something seems wrong, it's probably wrong. It doesn't matter who the person is. It doesn't matter what their reputation is. It doesn't matter how many other people trust them. If your child is showing signs of discomfort, if you feel that tightness in your chest that tells you something isn't right, investigate. Ask. Don't stop until you have answers. Jennifer knows that this message is not easy to follow. We live in a society that teaches us to be polite, not to make waves, to trust authorities. We are taught that questioning teachers, doctors, coaches, religious leaders is disrespectful, that worrying too much is being a helicopter mother, being paranoid, being exaggerated. But Jennifer learned the hard way that it is exactly this education, this fear of looking difficult, that predators use to their advantage. They rely on our reluctance to ask inconvenient questions. They rely on our tendency to accept plausible explanations without investigating further. They count on our fear of being seen as that problematic mother. But Jennifer now says to every mom she knows, be that troubled mom. Be inconvenient. Be boring. Ask questions. Demand transparency. Because the temporary discomfort of being seen as exaggerated is infinitely better than the permanent trauma of discovering that your gut was right and you ignored it. Jennifer lived both sides. She lived for weeks doubting herself, feeling ridiculous for questioning Marcus, and then he lived the horror of discovering that he should have acted sooner, and between these two discomforts she would choose the first 1,000 times. Jennifer and Emma's story is not unique. Unfortunately, there are thousands of similar stories happening all over the country, all over the world. Predators in positions of trust, manipulating children, relying on the silence of victims and the trust of parents. But what makes Jennifer's story special is that she turned tragedy into action. It transformed pain into protection. She turned her experience into a legacy that is protecting children she will never meet in places she has never been. The policies that Watchful Mothers of Oregon helped implement are already making a difference. 6 months after the Emma Act went into effect, there was an incident in Eugene, Oregon. A martial arts instructor was caught on a security camera behaving inappropriately with a 10-year-old student. The camera was there because of the new law. The instructor was immediately removed, investigated and arrested. The girl received help quickly. The trauma was minimized because the situation was stopped early on. The girl's mother contacted Jennifer to thank her. He said that if it wasn't for the Emma Act, if it weren't for the mandatory cameras, that abuse could have continued for months or years. Jennifer cried when she received that message. She cried because each child protected gave meaning to Emma's suffering. Today, when Jennifer looks at Emma, she sees a resilient girl. He sees scars, yes. He sees moments of hesitation, moments of fear. But he also sees strength. She sees a girl who knows that her voice matters, who knows that telling the truth, even when it's difficult, can change the world. Emma knows that her courage helped create laws that protect other children. And that gives you purpose. It gives meaning to what she went through. Jennifer has also changed. She is no longer just a nurse and mother. She is an activist, an advocate, a voice for children who cannot speak for themselves. Sometimes she feels tired, especially when she tells her story for the 10th, 20th, 50th time. Each time he tells, he relives some of that pain. But she also sees the eyes of the mothers who listen to her widen in recognition. See when one of them has that moment of, so it's not just me. You see when a mother in the audience raises her hand and says that she will start paying more attention, that she will trust her instinct more, that she will ask questions that she was afraid to ask before. And in those moments, Jennifer knows it's worth it. The Portland community has also changed. There is more awareness now about child protection. There is more talk about signs of abuse, about how predators operate, about the importance of creating safe environments for children. Schools are training teachers. Studios are implementing strict policies. Parents are having difficult but necessary conversations with their children about appropriate touch, about good secrets versus bad secrets, about how no one, not even adults in authority, has the right to make them feel uncomfortable. Marcus Thompson remains in prison. He's still 5 years away from being eligible for parole. Jennifer doesn't think much of him. He doesn't waste energy hating him, even though the hatred is there, buried deep. But he prefers to use his energy for productive things, to protect children, to empower mothers, to create systemic change. Marcus has already taken too much from his family. You won't take anything else. Sarah Bennett, who at first did not believe the accusations against Marcus, is now one of the most active in the group Vigilant Mothers. She carries deep guilt for not seeing the signs with Katie, for standing up for Marcus when Jennifer expressed concerns. But he channels that guilt into action. She is fierce in her advocacy, sometimes even more so than Jennifer. He speaks in schools, writes letters to legislators, pressures institutions to adopt stricter security measures. Katie and Emma, now best friends, sometimes accompany their mothers to group events. They don't talk much, they just observe. But Jennifer knows they're taking it all in. They are learning that they can turn pain into power, who can use their voices to protect others, that they don't have to be defined by what happened to them, but can be defined by how they responded. Jennifer Parker and Emma's story doesn't have a perfect happy ending. It's not a fairy tale where everything goes back to exactly how it was before. The trauma happened. The scars exist. There will be challenges ahead, difficult moments, unexpected triggers. But it is a story of survival, resilience, transformation. It's a story of a mother who trusted instinct when everyone said she was wrong, of a daughter who found the courage to speak, of a community that came together to protect its most vulnerable members, and real, tangible changes that are making a difference in the lives of children across an entire state. Jennifer Parker has learned that being a mother goes far beyond unconditional love. It's about the courage to trust instinct, even when the whole world says you're overreacting. On that October night, when she finally heard the recording, she didn't know that her determination would save not only Emma, but 6 other girls who lived the same nightmare in silence. Professor Marcus Thompson, with his diplomas and awards on the wall, was a predator disguised as a mentor. He counted on the blind trust of society, on the reputation built over the years, on the children's fear of not being believed. But he didn't count on a mother who knew her daughter better than any brilliant resume. Jennifer looks at Emma today, at age 10, dancing freely in her new studio, and knows that every sleepless night, every moment of being called paranoid, every second of fear was worth it. This story shows something that all of us mothers know in our hearts. Our instinct exists for a reason. It's not paranoia, it's not exaggeration, it is protection. How many times have you felt something strange about a situation involving your child and pushed that thought away because it seemed silly? How many times did you stop acting because you didn't want to look like the problematic mother? Jennifer's story reminds us that it's better to investigate and be wrong than to ignore and be right. Her courage inspired real change that protects thousands of children in Oregon today, and his message to all mothers is clear. Trust yourself. If this story has touched you, you need to know the next story we're preparing. It's about a mother who discovered that her daughter's pediatrician was doing something completely unexpected during routine checkups. What started as a simple consultation turned into an investigation that shook the entire medical community of a small Texas town. The courage of this mother saved more than 20 children from a situation that no one could have imagined. You won't want to miss it. The video is now available here on the channel. Just click on the link that appears on your screen now. Always remember, you're not just a mother, you are guardian, protector, defender. When something inside you says something isn't right with your child, don't ignore it. Ask, investigate. Be annoying, be inconvenient, be the mother that everyone thinks is exaggerated. Because at the end of the day, the opinion of others doesn't matter. What matters is that your child is safe. Predators rely on our education, on our fear of appearing rude, on our tendency to trust authority. But mothers who trust their instincts break that pattern. Subscribe to the channel for more real stories of maternal courage. Leave your like if you also believe that protecting our children comes before anything else. Activate the bell so you don't miss any stories. Comment below if you have been through a similar situation. You are not alone. A big hug, and see you in the next exciting story.